In my videos, I very often mention the fact that each of your individual images need to have a clear job. But often I forget to mention it's not just the fact that the image has a job that matters, but also how exactly the image does this job. Sometimes it's even a larger problem when the seller already has the images and these images have some kind of job already. But the problem is they do this job incorrectly. And sometimes this might be even bigger problem than if your images do not have a job at all. Because when your images do not have a job, then it is clear that image is random. It has no reason to exist. But when the image has a job to do, and when it does this job incorrectly, it's a more serious problem because it's harder to identify it. So let me show you an example. Let's take a look at this listing. Each secondary image has a clear job to do. Some cover the benefits of the product, some talk about trust points, others talk about ingredients. And in fact, almost every image here has a job. And that's exactly what the seller told me. My images are good, they have a clear job, I understand why they exist, and they already cover all the necessary information about my product. So I do not need new images. But the problem is this seller did not think about the fact that yes, these images have a job. Yes, these images help the shopper to understand the product so that they do not need to read the product description. But the problem is in how exactly they execute their job, how exactly they deliver the message they need to deliver. That is why I decided to create an improved version of this set of images and to show the difference between the image set that does a job but does it incorrectly and between the image set that does the same job but does it better. By the way, if you're asking yourself why I'm not showing you the main image, is because this one is already an updated version, and now I will show you a comparison, before and after comparison of this entire image set with the original main image and with all the secondary images. So here is the entire image set one by one, and I would like to show you a direct comparison of each individual image in the set so that you understand the difference, so that you understand what exactly I'm talking about. Why I think that the original image set that the seller already has in their listing is not doing the job properly. Let's start with the main image. And on the left, you can see the original main image of this listing, and on the right, the improved version. So what is wrong with this main image? Here it is cluttered. You do not know exactly where to look. The word natural antibiotic is repeated several times in different places, and there is no clear hierarchy, and you do not know where exactly to start and where exactly to finish. Yes, it is still clear what the product is, but the difference between these two images is the speed of clarity, how quickly it becomes clear what the product is, who it is for, and how it works. In this image, you instantly understand that this is a natural antibiotic for your pets, and it can be used both for dogs and for pets. You instantly understand that it's made in USA and there is a very convenient dropper coming inside. You get the list of the most important benefits and values that this product provides, as well as its dosage information. Nothing looks cluttered. Everything is clear hierarchy, clear message, and a clear product. While here, you might also understand everything that this image explains, but it simply might take you more effort and more time because you would need to look closer, you would need to read through all this information that look cluttered, and some of the shoppers might not just want to waste their time, and they will not want to put effort because they will see your competitor right nearby, and the competitor will have a main image closer to something like this, which will be simpler and more clear, and this 3 to 5 seconds that the shopper wins, they will decide whether they will click your listing or your competitor listing. Now let's move to the image number 2. You already saw this image inside the listing, and it talks about the main benefits of this natural antibiotic, how exactly it helps your pet. And these two images right here, they have the same purpose and the same message. They talk about how exactly this natural antibiotic can help your pet. But let's compare them in more detail. What you can see here is a lot of text. Yes, you might say, this is a more detailed image. There is more information here. But the problem is, look at this text. It is so small. And how is anyone gonna understand this text? And do you really believe that anyone is gonna read all this text if they did not want to read your description? Do you really believe that they will want to read the small text that you show inside the image? I don't think that this is the case. That is why I simply took this image and I simplified it. I've added a clear headline with a supporting subheading and 6 easy to understand labels that explain the main benefits and the main concerns that this antibiotic helps to deal with. Much simpler image, much easier to understand, much easier to skim through, because this image does exactly the same job as this one, but it saves much more effort and time for your shopper, which means they will not want to abandon your listing after they see this clutter in this image. They will want to continue checking other images, and you will not lose them after they feel overwhelmed in the second image of your listing. Let's move on to the image number 3. So this one talks about the ingredients. First of all, I would like to mention the fact that I believe that this image should be somewhere further in the list of images. This is not such an important image for this product that it has to be an image number 3, but this is probably a topic for another video where we might talk in more detail about the order in which you want to place your images. But now let's just focus on comparison. What do we see here? The same problem is repeated again in this image, and we are going to see this a lot. Clutter. The image clearly has a job, yes, but how exactly does it execute its job? Right now, the job of the image is to explain the ingredients, explain that they are plant-based, explain that it's not a chemistry, it's real natural ingredients. But the problem is it somehow dilutes this message in this image. It starts talking about synergy. And again, this image unconsciously overwhelms the shopper. They do not understand where to look. Do they read the headline? Do they read this information on the bottom? Do they pay attention to ingredients? Also, why are ingredients so chaotically placed here with arrows? This is also something that creates confusion, that overwhelms the shopper. Believe me, simplicity wins the complexity in 90% of cases. I would like to highlight this one more time. The shoppers, while looking at your listing, they will not want to waste time. They will want to quickly skim through your images, and they will either understand if this product is for them, or they will get confused, they will get overwhelmed, and eventually they'll click someone else's listing because it looks simpler and easier to understand. Let's move on to the next image. Now, this image is one of my favorites because I love how to use types of images, but I love them even more when they are done correctly. In this case, great image, but the problem is, again, how exactly does it do its job? How to use type of image is such kind of image that is supposed to explain how to use your product in the simplest possible way, so that nobody needs to read your instructions. It has to be as simple and easy to understand as possible. And here they are trying to explain everything all at once. They're trying to explain the cycle on how often to use this. They are trying to explain the dosage, and they are trying to explain the ways how you can apply it. Yes, the overall job is the same, but there are too many sub messages in this image. I decided to take this overall how to use message and break it down into 2 simpler images. On the right, you can see the first image, and it talks about easy dropper dosing. It talks about dosage. It clearly explains how much you should give to a certain pet based on how much they weight. And also with a note and with a visual, you show how exactly you apply it. You might say the note is small, but that is why I've also added visually the explanation of this note, which is still quite easy to read, but without even reading this text on the bottom, they would still understand how exactly you apply it, because you simply show that you add it to a water bowl. This image makes it very clear that what exact dosage you use for any kind of pet based on their size, and it's not overwhelming anymore. And as I mentioned that I broke down the image on the left into two images that explain how to use the product. Here is the second image that contributes to the message that we had in the previous image. It contributes to the previous image, which explained how to use this product in terms of dosage and pet size, by showing a simple cycle on how often you give this antibiotic to your pet. Now, why did I place it against image number 7 in their current image set? First of all, I did not want to keep the same message as they had in this image, because right now here they're saying happy pets, happy you. And I guess what they are trying to do with this image is to show their entire product line. But I do not think that showing your entire product line is something you should do in your main image set for as long as you have more important images to show. You could do this in your brand story. This is the perfect place to show your entire product line. But for as long as you have some better images to show in your main image set, do not place the image with your entire product line in your main image set. Use it for something better. In this case, I decided to replace this image number 7 with the how to use type of image. And this is basically this image that was broken into the image number 1 that we already talked about, and image number 2, which again contributes to the previous image by explaining the overall cycle of how often you should use this product. And again, simplicity wins over complexity. You just use simple graphic with a calendar that clearly explains how often and for how long you use this product. Now let's go back to image number 5. This is the image that I like the least from their entire image set, because overall, all the other images have a clear job that they are trying to do. Even though I think they are not doing the job correctly, they have the job. While this image does not even seem to have a clear job, because let's take a look at it and see what it's trying to say. It's saying by choosing natural antibiotic, and it's highlighting natural antibiotic, you give the best for your pet. And then it lists some kind of benefits and what exactly it does. And again, it talks about the fact that it is natural. And then it talks about the fact that it's easy to take it anywhere with you. So this image kind of doesn't really know what exactly it's talking about. First of all, is it about the fact that your product is natural? Is it about its benefits and effects? Or is it about the portability? And additionally, where is the visual? So the visual does not support any of these messages. And the reason for that is because you do not know which exact message to support here, because this image does not have a clear job to do. That is why what did I do here? I again took this image and broke down all the messages it's trying to deliver and allocated them into separate images. So the fact that the product is natural will be covered in the next image that we'll talk about. The main effects and the benefits of this product, they were covered in the image number 2. Then the last point that this image tried to make is the portability. The fact that it's portable, you can easily take it with you anywhere. But I did not find this message strong enough. That is why I decided to replace this message with something that I believe might be a bit more important to a shopper. And this is the image that you can see on the right. Made for dogs and cats. One formula for pets of all breeds, ages, and sizes. And there are 3 clear icons that explain the same as this text. And the visual, again, explains the same as the text and as the icons. So literally, the person might just look at this image. Even if we cover all this text, all these icons, they would they would easily understand what I'm trying to say here, that this product is for all breeds, ages, and sizes. That's what this image tries to say. Now, why did I decide that this image is more important than talking about the fact that it's portable? Now, let's think. You have a pet. Personally, if I had a pet, the first thought that I would have is, okay, my cat might be too young, or is it really for cats also? Is it also for dogs? Is it only for dogs? Only for cats? For small dogs? Or for big dogs? Or what breed is it for? What age is it for? I think that these are some of the most crucial concerns and questions that the shoppers might have here. That is why I think that the information that this image delivers is 1,000 times more important than the information about the portability of this product. And this is one of the images that the original set was missing, while in fact it is one of the most important and one of the first things you should cover in your image set, because it is probably one of the most frequent objections and questions the shopper clicking your product might have. And let's move to the last image, because we already talked about image number 7 and there is only image number 6 that has left. Now remember that I said that the fact that it is natural is covered in the next image, and here we go. Why exactly I talk about the fact that it is natural? Because natural equals trust, and what they're trying to do in this image, they're trying to evoke trust. But again, I don't really like how exactly they are doing it, because in this image, when I'm reading this, they're talking about their inspiration. They're talking about the fact that they are pet owners themselves, which supposedly needs to evoke trust. But again, this is not how you really want to do this. This image and this kind of message and idea that you are a pet owner yourself and about your inspiration, this again fits much better, the same as this image, into your brand story, or at least A+ content. While here, it would be much more efficient to evoke the trust by explaining that your product is non-GMO, that it is made in USA, and you can show that, look at this, we love our pets, show the love, show the emotion. You are kind of saying, we also have pets, we also love our pets, look how we cuddle with our pets. You kind of deliver the same idea that you do here, but without the text and with the image. You're showing love. You're showing that this lady in the image, she really cares about her dog and her cat. And the product that's sitting here, it probably helped them somehow. This is the unconscious thought that the shoppers would get when they see this image. And then you give 4 clear trust points, which are easy to see and easy to understand. And this evokes trust much better than this image. That is why they have the same job, but this job is done differently in these 2 images. That is why this image has a much higher chance to help you convert than this one, which, as I mentioned, better belongs to your brand story or A+ content. So when you create your image gallery, or when you look at your existing current image gallery, please always think, does each image in this gallery have a job, and does it execute this job the best possible way? If you ask yourself these 2 questions when creating your images or looking at your existing images, then I'm not worried about your conversion rate. But if you still have questions or need help with your images, feel free to send me a message. All the contact information can be found in the description, and we can together look at your existing image gallery, create a test image, and see how we can help you increase your conversion and click-through rate. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm wishing you a lot of sales. Bye-bye.